Well, good Monday morning, everyone. Did you have a good weekend? Well, we surely did. Hey, I am excited about this week, and I'll tell you why. It is for me, a very fun week. We're revisiting something that we did, a month or so ago, and it created more discussion with me than I think almost any week that we've ever done. And that is talking about American history and how Christianity and the Bible, for that matter, have impacted this country. Now, when we did it back, like I say, I lose track of time, but in I think early December, we were looking at really early American history through the American Revolution and the founding of the government. This week, and by the way, we're using as my primary reference, not only, but primary, the book 100 Bible Verses That Made America. And many of you have bought it. We have it in our bookstore. This week, we're going to look at the mid 1800s and around the Civil War time. And it's still true. The Bible and Jesus are impacting our country in awesome ways. I know it's encouraging my heart. I think it'll do the same for you because we take great joy. It gives us great joy to see that our roots are firmly based in the Bible and the Christian faith. That is certainly true of who we're going to look at today. I'm learning so much through this study. I think it will do the same for you. And I think even today, I didn't know about this person from this perspective that we're going to look at. Let me give you the verse for the day, and we'll see how it ties in at the end of our study today. And that is John chapter 11 at verse 25. Jesus is talking, and Jesus said to her, I am the resurrection and the life. I am the resurrection and the life. John 11:25. That's a verse that we all should know. And it's very significant in a couple of presidents' life. And we'll get to that. But the one president that I wanted us to get to know a little bit better this morning was our sixth president. His name was John Quincy Adams. Do you know much about John Quincy Adams? I think I knew one thing, which was I was pretty sure that he was the son of a president. And guess what? I was right on that one. John Adams. John Adams was the second president of the United States. He also was vice president. John Quincy Adams was the son, therefore, of both a vice president and a president. That in itself is unique, but that's only where it begins. This guy, this president, is amazing. I look forward to talking to him in heaven one day, and I know I'm going to see him there because he's such a firm believer in Jesus. Now, let me just give you a little bit more of his resume. He was, of course, the son of John Adams, one of the founding fathers. Same with his mother, Abigail Adams. By the age of 14, he is already the personal secretary and translator for our ambassador to Russia. He was a friend of Ben Franklin and Charles Dickens and many others. He was a graduate of Harvard University and became a professor there. And that, by the way, is when Harvard was a Christian institution to train pastors. He was an ambassador himself during his life to 6 different European nations. He served as Secretary of State. He argued many cases. He was a jurist before the Supreme Court. He was a senator from Massachusetts. He actually was the diplomat who who negotiated the end of the War of 1812. He wrote the Monroe Doctrine, if you can imagine. He was the negotiator who acquired Florida from Spain. And then he became the 6th president of the United States himself. In fact, then after his one term for 4 years, he was the only president to have ever gone back and served as a congressman. And we'll get a little bit more to that. He started writing his diary that journaled American history from the beginning of the Revolution. 14,000 pages worth. But all that aside, the most important thing to know about John Quincy Adams is how he loved the Lord. And he wrote once in a letter that the first and almost only book deserving of universal attention is the Bible. The Bible is to be read by all ages and all conditions of human life, and not to be read once or twice, but through your whole life. Some years later, he wrote to his son. He wrote, I myself for many years have made it a practice to read through the Bible every single year. My custom is to read 4 or 5 chapters every morning immediately after rising from my bed. It employs about an hour of my time and seems to be the most suitable manner of beginning the day. He wanted his son to learn to read the Bible every day. By the way, he also became a hymn writer and wrote a hymn for all 150 psalms. And he loved doing that. He wrote that brought him more joy than anything else in that whole resume that I read to you. It did more for him and his joy than anything else. This was a man who loved Jesus. I'm thrilled that he was our president. And then, like I say, he went back to Congress and got himself elected. The only president to ever. Think of the humility that shows. And then on February 21st, 1848, on a Monday in Congress, while serving there, he stood up to make a point and he keeled over and had a massive heart attack. 2 days later, he died. He died doing what he loved, serving his country and serving his Lord. During the funeral of John Quincy Adams in the rotunda of the Capitol building, attended by all the congressmen and senators and the presidents and all the Supreme Court, with everybody there, Pastor Gurley, R.R. Gurley, preached the sermon, and he used that verse that we read, John 11:25, because that was one of the favorite verses of John Quincy Adams. I am, Jesus said, the resurrection and the life. And so everybody heard that sermon. He heard that sermon. And by the way, he went on to say that whoever lives and believes in me shall never die. And here's one of the interesting things. Well, there's so much interesting about John Quincy Adams, wasn't there? But he was one of the last people to have known both George Washington and Abraham Lincoln. But where it ties together is that verse that was used at his funeral is the verse that Martha Washington had put on the tomb of George Washington. I am the resurrection and the life, Jesus said. That is on the tomb also of George Washington. I love it. Don't you love being a country that would do that? We've had wonderful leaders. God bless. I'm going to have another encouraging story tomorrow. See you then.
And I won't worry about tomorrow. I'm trusting